Hello, I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good.
Hello and welcome to the SC Ballers Q&A podcast ahead of round 17 of NRL SuperCoach. I am joined tonight, well, I should introduce myself. My name is Matt Ricks. I'm host and coach of the Terrace Crew. I'm joined tonight by coach of the Caspanitas, former third place overall finisher, Danny Boy Ricks. Danny Boy, welcome to the Q&A pod.
Yeah, g'day, Matty. Ready to go? Round 17. Jeez, that's gone quick, hasn't it?
Back from mixed netball tonight, mate. How the knees holding up?
Nice. The old dog's still got a few tricks to play. Feeling good. The injury free. Netball nationals coming up soon. It's my one little get out of the house for an evening, get a bit of sporting, get a bit of competition. It's good fun.
Very good, very good. Got a good show heading to round 17. We're nearly through the buys, nearly ready for the run home. So there's a lot to play for, a lot on the line. We've got some great stuff coming up at baller.live for the run home. So stay tuned for that. We've got the watch along tonight. Make sure you check it out. If you are listening to this before the Thursday night footy game, Panthers and Bulldogs from CommBank Stadium, it is going to be a beauty. And we're going to be watching it live, me, Tubes, and special guest from the Early Crow podcast, Jack Tico Dickens, good friend of the pod, former sponsor, very, very funny man. It will be well worth a watch along tonight.
I can't wait.
Yeah, going to be a beauty. You might be floating around somewhere, Dan, for your general drop-ins and spoilers.
Depends how my players are going. I remember last time I dropped in, I had Ola, didn't have Lehigh, just dropped in to rub it in a little bit. But I will definitely be tuning in this week. The chemistry between Tubes and Dicko is sensational. Great banter. Both love the pod. Both love Viliami thick out.
Yeah. They both own kick out, so that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, can't wait.
I'm bringing in Karaz tonight, so I better if Karaz goes down in a heap injured, which let's be honest is not it's not impossible. That'll be 3 in a row that I've destroyed on the watch log. So please let's try and get that not happening. Please jump in and join along. It's gonna be great fun. You're gonna have tons of community shout outs and get you guys involved. Make sure you get along to baller.live, sign up. We got some cool stuff coming. We need you on the email list. And there's going to be some stuff behind that sign up soon as well. So it's get yourself along. Dan, we've got starting tonight with a special question / statement from Raymond Campbell on YouTube. Raymond says, "Hi boys, love the podcast. I'm a happy owner of Young GI. Have had him since round 1. Even when he peaked in cash, he held strong. And he says that he's probably one of the oldest SuperCoach players at 71. That's a huge shout out to Raymond there.
Wow.
Held young GI down. He was my pod of the week this week. He's gone through the peaks, through the trough, and he's back right in the wave of pod young GI.
How good. We did ask for some shout outs for young GI owners, didn't we?
We did.
So yeah, how good. 71 years old. Older than the Podfather. Unbelievable.
Older than the Podfather. The Podfather's looking for a challenger in that sort of 65 to 90 age bracket.
Is there a baller veterans league? Might have to set
I think we might
up.
have to start it next year. Yeah, that'll be good. Well done, Raymond. Thanks for listening. And yeah, young GI. Please get any young GI stories, send them in because I want to turn them into some content. So it's fantastic. And he will definitely be deserving of that OG baller status, Raymond. All right, Dan, some sit-start decisions this week, and we're going to focus these around the baller projections. The young start on X asks, is it crazy to play Karapni over Hines this week? Now, Hines is projected. He's got a tough matchup, still projected for 68, so not so bad. Obviously, his floor might come down a little bit there. Karapni playing the Warriors at home. He has a baller projection of 62, coming off back-to-back doubles scores in the 80s and 90s. What would your advice there be, Dan?
I've actually got, I guess, I didn't actually even consider this as a sit start option, but it's happening for me. So I'm currently sitting Karapni out of my 18, and I never thought about dropping Hines for him.
Yeah.
I can see it because obviously Hines has dropped a low score recently, but he hasn't dropped many. He's dropped a few 40s. They're playing Storm at Amy Park. Very tough matchup. Sharks can rally, I think. I would be going in on Hines.
Yeah, I think it's just worth noting, like, even though Karapani has had a couple of good scores, it's just worth noting that he'll still have a low floor. So it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies. It's compromised with Karapani, as they say. So just be careful with Karapani.
It rolled off
I don't know where
the
that came
tongue.
from.
That was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a bit. I think that's a bit of Maroon 5 for the listeners there. Yeah, I'm a Hines play there. I don't think you can ever really sit Hines personally. Rodney McGrath on Facebook asks, "G'day, Rodney. Big shout out. Thanks for the question again. Does he put the reserve on Tino or Karapani this week?" Bit of a similar scenario here, Dan. I can't believe the it's not hate, but the lack of love for Tino. I know he's got a bit of an injury. He's still ball projected 75 points in his 55 minutes this week. We might have to nudge that down a little just for the bit of injury concern, but even then, we're talking a 10% drop, so you're still looking in the high 60s. There's just no danger at all coming off that loss. I'd be sitting Tino over Karapani.
Yeah, he started off the bench at the weekend, got 38 minutes, and I believe he stayed off because the game was over. And it's probably smart from Des, like, rest him up. This is a big game. They need to win this one this week. Like, they're so desperate. Tino's going at least 55 minutes, even if he does have a bit of a sternum complaint. And, round one, I believe he had 55 minutes for 109 points. So he can stack those stats and we know how, I guess, soft through the middle. It's probably a bit harsh, but Cowboys aren't good through the middle.
No, they are.
Titans can roll through them. They got some, Mo Fotuaika back, Tino back, Jolife. They'll steam through them. And the second phase play that comes off Tino, now that Jaden Campbell's not going to be there as well, I think Tino's going to have to step up and do something. The
one thing I will say for the like you said, the Cowboys middle, very soft. Yeah, I forgot my point there, but I'm in total agreement. I think Tino is a good play this week. Karapani, if he doesn't get a try, which he's probably about just over 50% chance according to the ball projections to score. He's going to have that much lower floor. I think you're probably looking at a floor around 30 for Karapani, probably just with the amount of runs he does. So he's got the upside too. Look, I think Karapani's a fine player, but I wouldn't be getting too creative playing him over these proven guns. Would be my take. Sit starts in general. Sit starts in general this week. There are some tough ones, but yeah, like I said, just try not to get too creative. Queenslander on YouTube asks, guys, Tino or Cleary for the last reserve this week? Thanks. This one's a little more straightforward. Cleary's one of the best players in SuperCoach. You would never, ever sit Cleary under any circumstances. He doesn't need much. I think turning up without an attacking stat as a halfback, like, it's just unbelievable. So, yeah, Panthers rallied last week without their stars. Cleary in back, I think still got a point to prove about his fitness as well. And this is one they'll be attacking as well. Like, Bulldogs are the form team to try to beat. If Panthers are any hope this year, they're going to put up a fight. So, yeah, you got to play Cleary. The point I've since remembered about Tino is I think Tino is an option to sit if you need the vice captaincy loop this week. He plays the last game, and you might be looking at a Tukey Simpkins or another Nuff that a Roosters player who's on the bye this week that you can then captain. So working through your loops that you might be able to sit Tino as if you do want to loop a Cleary or a Pappenhausen. That's quite important for the Pappenhausen lose, right? Because they're the last two games. So specifically for that one. Yeah, that's for the Pappenhausen VC Drinky C. You're going to have a very short turnaround there to make your call on the loop. So currently in my team, I've put Tino as my starting front row forward. I've got Tukey Simpkins down in the second row, and I'll switch them around. Second row on my MP as an MPR on my bench, and I'll switch them around if Pappenhausen goes big, and I'll captain Tukey Simpkins from the bench there. And he'll go into my starting front row and be my captain if Pappenhausen goes 120, 130 plus. So Yeah, just one to keep an eye on. If you do have any questions specific to Loop over the weekend, please shout us out and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can on the socials. Probably best not to leave it to after the Storm game, though. It's not going to be a tight turnaround. Dan, the young stud on X asks, what's the max number of nuffs you'd have? I'm thinking 3 for the run home post-origin. Simpkins, Lawson, and Going. It's a good question. It's starting to get to that time of the year. You and I have been running 2 nuffs all year. I actually think you've had 3 nuffs for a good period of it.
I had 3 nuffs for about 3 rounds, and I actually... Oh, sorry. No, I've only had 2, and I actually had 1 for a few rounds, and I reactivated Miles Martin.
You denuffed.
Exactly. So cash generation this year was so easy early on. So actually, nuffs weren't as vital. I think that's why you're seeing across the board quite high team values, and still people are up around that 16 million, even with a lot of stars bleeding cash over the last bit. Mine has absolutely bombed to about 15.4 or 15.2 or something like that. That's getting on the low side. And with my projections now, I'm actually looking at probably having 4 nuffs for the run home. And that is not a good situation to be in. It's just what situation I've landed in now. I think ideal would be if you've got 16 million plus at this stage, probably you could run with 2. And maybe if you're high 1500s, 3 is pretty comfortable as well. So I think probably end game, last 4 or 5 rounds, 3 is quite comfortable.
Yep, I'd agree with that. I think minimum. I think you want to be starting to look to Nuff. It's kind of the conundrum, especially with some of these mid ranges at this time of year. Unless they're a pod that you really want as a pod that you want to play almost every week, to sort of try and chase a bit of rank with that, you are almost always better off with the strength and depth of teams now. Like most teams are going to have just 20 sort of really gun players, and then you can have a little bit of backup for your 21st, 22nd player. You're much better off going down to enough. Like, Kalani Going, perfect, dual second row hooker. You can run a Connor Watson strategy with a Starling or a Sandon Smith even, just depending on his place in the team. Even Riley Smith as your second hooker there, because then you can just flip up and down. Like there's all sorts you can do with that. I'm a huge advocate for Nuffs, even to start the season, but I think 3 is ideal. That just gives you enough depth to cover injuries, and you should be able to have a squad full of guns or high range or high sort of premium mid ranges. So yeah,
I think next week is a really good opportunity to nuff as well. You've got 3 trades on the buy rounds. If you're set for numbers, probably nothing for that last trade. It's kind of like having a boost there, so you can then really attack for round 19 with a bit of cash in the bank to get those premiums who are playing. I think that's a great option next week. The other thing about next week is you could play it very flexibly. If you've got 13, 14 and there's a couple of low scores there, you could have that as, I can nuff out if I'm happy with my 13, 14, or maybe I need another player. So look for that sort of nuff or flexibility for another player next week.
Nathan Lawson's an interesting one there, Dad. Just on nuff structure, like having a nuff at centre wing, a non-dual nuff. It's probably not ideal, but it is viable with someone like Lawson. And if he comes back to play, it's not the end of the world, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. But it's not ideal. Like there was always.
But it saves you if it saves you a trade. Is the point there? Like you can just let him sit there and roll.
Definitely, he's not. He didn't make any cash really. What 20K something like that?
Nothing. 15K.
So particularly if you've got a couple of dual center wing second row. So most people have Lucas. If you're floating Bo Fermor and doing Lucas between the 2, I think Lawson is even fine with that. I think Kane Bradley is from the Storm is probably the ideal nuff at 232K because he can flip with Lucas. So it's like you're running an extra center wing up in your back row. I think that's probably the best end game strategy.
It'll be interesting to see what the Dragons do to backfill Val's place next week, whether Lawson gets a run out for 18. That's kind of another reason to hold him as an extra player for 18. Whether he gets that spot or the young, robust Nick Sagranis gets that spot. He should get dual in 18, Sagranis as well, because he's 2 RF only but he played his one and only game so far at centre wing. So whether they update him, he might be an option for a dual Nuff as well, who could add some value if he is activated. So we shall see. Knicks fan 1992 on XR Stan. Will Darby get the ball? Presume he's talking about Robert Darby there. This is in the context of Jackson Purdue moving back to the centres from 5'8". Todd Payton's bitten the bullet. He's brought back in Jake Clifford. This should be very good signs for Scotty Drinkwater. Rob Darby we saw go on a tear in the early buy period this year. Some owners have obviously held on. I think that can only be a positive for the Cows outside back stand.
Yep, for sure. Going back, I think, when was Clifford dropped? I think it was round 13. Yep. Robert Darby was averaging the 4 games before that probably close to 80.
Round 11. Round 11, got dropped.
Yeah. So
yep.
He only scored 2 tries since then. So I think it's a great point. I didn't even think of it, probably because I don't own Rob Darby and I'm kind of not looking out at that right side. I think that'll open up. And it also opens up Drinky flexibility for the right-hand attack. Like Clifford is very good at setting up and structuring that right-hand side, and he's a massive feeder for Drinkwater there. It also helps because you've got Purdue at the back, an obvious threat on the left-hand side, giving Drinky a little bit more time there as well. So I think it's all in favour of basically Cow's attack in general.
Yep, I agree with that. Jacob Taloon O'Brien on Facebook, Dan, asks, thoughts on Murray Talangi instead of Zach Lomax as a trade option, playing the Titans this week, then Storm without the Origin stars. I'd suggest there's an okay chance that Murray actually gets picked for Queensland, but we shall see. And then plays the same side where Alex Johnson just scored 4 tries against the Storm. I can't get around anyone instead of Lomax. Maybe this week, maybe like a Lehigh or a Karaz instead of Lomax this week, or a Karapani as the downgrade. But I don't think Murray can get anywhere near Lomax for the run home, notwithstanding Jacob's thoughts around the draw there and the matchups.
Huge pod. Absolutely huge pod. They got Titans, Melbourne, Bulldogs is tough, round 19. Dolphins isn't that good. Dragons after that. Huge pod. I think a big origin risk, particularly if there's an outside back injury in that Queensland team. Like Talangi has established origin over the last couple of years. So I don't mind it. 580K price seems good. Huge flyer. Probably wouldn't do it if you're up in the ranks and you're looking to solidify that centre wing, though. I think it's just the ultimate pod move.
Yeah, I think it's a good pod. Like he's cheap enough now as well. He's 582. He dropped. He got up to over 725,000 at one point this season. He's got great base plus power. I think we can probably expect something between 45 and 50 for base plus power on the run home, which is pretty good for a centre wing. And we know that he can get a bit of meat out there on the left. So I like it as a pod. I wouldn't do it as a Lomax alternate though. Just looking at the baller projections for Lomax, he's still let's look through all the way to the run home here. Lomax is still the second highest projected behind Herbie for centre wings for the run home at 78. Season average projection to come, that's only unless Lehigh stays at fullback, he would be higher, but I'm not sure we can definitely expect that. So yeah, Lomax for me there, Jacob. Amazon package on Instagram. Great name. He's asking about who does he replace Moses with. I'm not sure, Amazon, why you still own Moses, but it just does bring up an interesting point around teams who might not have the ideal halfback setup, Dan. Who is the right target for halfback? He's saying currently he's got his eye on Nico.
I think Nico's a great option. I think you can run home pretty securely with him. Jerome Hughes playing the next 2 rounds, big bye round against Cowboys next week. Probably at this time of year. I think Jerome Hughes could match Nico on the run home, so that would probably be my choice, Jerome Hughes as the number 1. I think, is he cheaper than Nico or about the same price?
Nico's now cheaper, 604. Hughes is 612. I'd go Nico probably gun to head. I own both. They're my 2 halfbacks at the moment. Nico's more highly owned. I think Nico's so hard because he's down on confidence. We've seen this happen where he can go through these lulls. He still scored well on the weekend. Yeah, I think it's really down to those two. You really go a bit more pod when you're looking away from those guys. Izzy Katoa's got 2 buys coming up. Jamal Fogarty, Dan, I'm not sure you could recommend him as an owner now, just with the injury that he's sort of carrying.
Mm-hmm.
They got a couple of buys to come as well, and then you're sort of getting down into, your Metcalfs and your Cherries and those types.
Metcalf gives you a bit of flexibility, I think. Plays this week. Got a bit of a cork. I don't think that's going to hold him back too much this week. And they've got a decent run after their bye in round 18. So I think you could pick up Metcalf. It depends how strong you are at 5'8" at the moment. But certainly as one of your 4, Metcalf wouldn't be a bad option. But he is 60K more than those two other options we've mentioned.
Dan, that's it for questions. Let's get into our captains and trades for this week. Let's start with captains. What's your current plan for the captains?
I don't know at the moment. There's so many good options, I think, for a VC this week. You got Karaz, you got Garrick, you got Herbie, you got Pappenhausen, all playing at different times. I think, like myself, I've only got 1 or 2 AEs to look at for the week. I would love to look at them before I make my loop decision. That's where Pappenhausen becomes a good option as well. I am leaning at the moment towards Garrick. I'm all in on a 4 pints Friday night, right-hand side overload, turbo swinging it out. So I think that's me at the moment. Herbie is, I feel Herbie is the best center in the game at the moment. Like, not even Supercoach wise, just so destructive. So I can't go against him. And Pappenhausen, I'm not sure. I'm leaning towards Garrick or Herbie for me. And then C on Drinky.
It'll be interesting to see which side Garrick lines up on. There's a bit of conjecture. Few trading photos snapping around of him on the left wing outside cooler.
That's a good spot too, though.
Very good spot.
Yeah.
Both are good spots. 2 good matchups coming up. He's currently the most popular vice captain in the top 10% of teams. He's 21% captain, followed by Herbie, then Paps and Karaz. All the ones you mentioned, Dan. Yeah, I'm going to be looking at Ryan Pappenhausen for my VC. I've got a strategy to sit Tino, as I mentioned. I think Pappenhausen and Drinky are far and away the 2 best captain choices this week. I think Drinky, I was surprised to see that he is the most popular captain. I thought I was going to get a bit of a pod play there. He's 28% captain, closely followed by Pappenhausen, 24.8%. I just think that Titans matchup, Purdue back to 5'8", back to center. He's going to get sweet ball both sides. The Titans, who knows what we're going to turn up with there. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Titans beat the Cows, mind you, but I think we should see Drinky get plenty of attack in a nice afternoon game there on the Gold Coast. So, But Pappenhausen, I mean, you can't deny his day game record this season at Amy Park. He's coming off last time 188 points against the Tigers. So, it's hard to deny also.
Yeah, so hard. Like, the thing for Drinky as well, I think they didn't have the origin stars backing up. Like, the depth of the Cowboys, like, that was so important for them last week. I didn't really think of that. Like it was you had to be a bit flexible because they were obviously all named. I played Purdue thinking, there's a chance here, but they looked terrible. But they're back this week. You got Cotter, Nanai, adds a big strength. Like Robson. Cotter is so vital to that Cowboys middle. Like, he's just so good in his work ethic and, it also carries. And then Nanai just adds that attacking flair, the other option on that left-hand side. So I think it's an easy Drinky captain this week.
What about some of the big boys, Dan? Haas, May, Kaloamatangi, are they sort of options in your book this week?
So May is playing early, and you probably only go May, obviously captain, if you're vice captaining someone like a Karaz on the Thursday.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be VC in May. I think he's rock solid for an 80.
No.
That's fine. Koloamatangi, I'm not sure with that. I mean, it's not really an injury, but I think, he's got to get a try to kind of be a captain option, I think. And then Payne Haas is carrying that injury a little bit, so it's just a bit up in the air. I think, they'd be silly not to put Payne Haas on ice if they're up and they're winning quite comfortably, the Broncos this week. So, I'm not sure. It is Warriors, so it's going to be a bit of a grind. But it just, for me, I just want a bit of attacking flair. I want to enjoy my captain watch as well. Hopefully they see the field.
The other one I just want to chuck in there, Dan, and it's a bit of a flyer, but he's very much in the pod territory now. Nathan Cleary, who plays tonight for the watch along, if you do own him, I think he's got an excellent chance to go well still tonight. I know it's the Dogs, but that can really maximise that pod play that if, as an owner, just chucking a cheap VC on him, you still get Pappenhausen or Drinky or whoever for the captain, or even you can go a Payne Haas or a Terrell May as well if you want that bit more safety. Yep. So I don't mind taking a flyer on Cleary for VC either too. He's one of the best players ever.
My pod captain would probably be Zach Lomax. I think, again, there's a huge narrative there for him, right? Back and win against the Dragons. Dragons are in turmoil. What the Jack DeBellins just announced he's leaving as well. A bit of angst around the halves and not dropping Flano. Like, how's the team feel about that? The narrative's there to put on I think last time he had that 180 against the Tigers, was it, at Wynn Stadium? He was playing for the Dragons, but certainly can pop off, can put in a big score. So he gets a couple of tries and you're flying.
All right, Dan, trades. Where are you on trades for the week?
Very stock standard for pretty much most of the super coaches out there. I am going Karaz in for probably the most popular trade out there. Karaz in for Fletcher Sharp. Poor guy. Hope he gets well. And I'm doing Hubner. He's the Hub Club. He's been good for me. He's punching out a big
time to revoke your membership.
Tiresome 40 minutes. I've never seen a bloke look more tired on the field than Hubner. He's punching above his weight, but he's putting in a shift. But it's time to let him go. So bringing in Karapni. So Karapni and Karaz, very, very stock standard. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm just going to skip Karapni. My team value is quite good at sort of 16, just over 16 million.
Very nice.
So I'm going to skip Karapni. I'm going to run just with Billy Smith as my 7th centre wing for now. I can downgrade him probably to a Nuff type or a cheapie that I might want as my 7th centre wing later. Or I might even upgrade him. I'll see. I can work that out later. I'm just looking at bolstering this week. So I'm getting Karaz, same as you, for Sharp. And then I'm getting Ola Kawatu out, who I bought 2 weeks ago, moving Lucas back up to the second row. And I'm currently tossing up between Zach Lomax, who I think is obviously the season-long keeper, or Lehigh Hopewadi. So Lehigh has the 2 games at fullback now against Wests and Souths, 2 excellent matchups. The slows on Hopper are that he could move from fullback back to left wing at some point. I think if they win these 2 games, then he stays. I don't know why they would mix that back up and they can just keep looking after Turbo at centre there. The only thing that gets challenging for Manly is that draw, and Myth spoke about it on our Tuesday pod. They have a very tricky draw after that round 19 bye, which is, let me just get him up. They play the Storm at Amy Park, followed by the Bulldogs, followed by the Roosters, followed by Canberra at GIO. So very tough 4-game stretch. I think if Lehigh's at fullback for that though, Dan, that he still should score well, but it just probably caps his upside there.
I've been a Lehigh fan all year. I was very close to bringing him in at the start of the season. I think he was my pod to bring in first podcast we did. Really love him. He's growing into his body. I think he's still a slight frame, and for his frame, for the run he went on, to be able to base 40 points consistently is incredible. Yeah, it's good. But I'm not sure it's sustainable. I don't know. He obviously had a good run through that period as well, had a good Cowboys matchup, Para matchup, Broncos when they were beaten after Origin. Yeah. I feel like it's a little bit we're just assuming that Lehigh is now ultra premium, where the stats haven't backed up historically beyond his last 4 games. So,
I mean, he's young. Like the stats aren't going to back it up because he's young. I'm worried about his head knock as well. Like just a little bit in the back of my mind there. Like, is that going to hurt his base output? Is he going to be as keen to run the ball?
And it's a new,
as you say, he's had
it's a new structure as well. So like we saw what it did to the Cowboys, just a small shift, Burjo into 5'8". They don't have Ola Kawatu on the right. They're going to have an average second rower there. I think Waddell, I'm not sure who's on that edge. So it might be a bit clunky to start with, and that might deter. Like if they finally figure it out by 3 games in, that's when they go on their bad run. So I would be leaning to Lomax. You know what you're going to get. Obviously, Paro down on troops this week, but Lomax is the most rock solid apart from Karaz. Like I think Lomax is number 1.
Yeah, I think Lomax is definitely the sensible play for me there. It's more about just chasing some short-term upside and trying to get a bit of luck. But, yep, we'll make that call. I'll mull over that on the watch-along tonight. Please join us. We'll have a link in socials today. And if you're listening after that, then go back and watch the replay of the watch-along. But enjoy your SuperCoach, everyone, this weekend. It's going to be good fun. Danny, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, cheers, Matty. Thank you. I might leave the sign-off for you tonight. My throat's a little bit sore, so...
You little beauty.